Hi, my name is Jordan, and about 2 years ago I made a video ranking the top 100 singles on RateYourMusic.com. While I don't have many videos on this channel, and the ones I do have are pretty old, I do still stand by a lot of opinions on my other videos, but my Rate Your Music videos always kind of haunted me since I made it. I think there were a lot of issues going into it, mainly that I wasn't as patient with the songs I hadn't heard before, which led to a lot of weird rankings and bad opinions and writing on my part. I got a lot of deserved criticism for that video, and I wanted to remake it now that I've been able to appreciate these songs more, especially when revisiting them all for this video. Now, a couple things to quickly get out of the way. These are 100 of the highest rated songs, meaning that there are songs I love that I had to put lower to make room for others. Just because a song is in the 70s, for example, it doesn't mean I dislike it or anything. There are just so many fantastic songs here. Because of that, your favorite song might be much lower than you want to see it, but this is just my opinion and nothing else. I also want to say that while this isn't the way I personally consume music, I did have to separate the art from the artist for a lot of songs here because of how many shitty people are on this list, so I did my best to try to just rank the song. I will also have a number in parentheses next to my ranking to show how much it increased or decreased from my original ranking 2 years ago. Finally, there are 2 duplicates on the list which are on the screen now, so I will be skipping those. Without further ado, here we go. If you saw the last video, you probably know that I just can't stand Talking Heads that much. Despite their good intentions and fun sound, it just annoys me beyond belief, and I really wish it was different. I think this is one of the worst offenders of all their songs, and the B-side just does nothing for me either. I just don't really get the appeal of the song at all. I have this higher than once in a lifetime since I've heard it much less, but I personally just think the vocals and synths are so awkward and kind of ugly that I can't get into it at all. Moon Rocks is narrowly better in my opinion, but not by much. I've never really been able to get into this song. I think the singing is obnoxious and the subject matter is annoying, and even if it is trying to portray Kanye as the asshole he really is, don't subject me to listening to it. I think the production is great, but I also have never been able to get into the extended outro either. While the song is obviously emotional, I just can't really get myself to care about it. I have issues with Mark Kozelek for many reasons, but I'm also just not a big fan of his voice or songwriting. I'll talk about the B-side in a second, but I'm just gonna move on since I probably sound like a broken record at this point. I definitely understand the influence of this track and Kraftwerk as a whole, but I just personally can't get into how minimal and honestly tedious it is. I maybe prefer the B-side due to it being a little livelier, but I just don't think these tracks are for me despite the clear quality of them. I actually don't mind this song too much, mainly because the vocal melodies and layers towards the end are actually pretty great. But I'm still not crazy about Talking Heads instrumentation and songwriting. I also thought the B-side wasn't too bad, if a bit repetitive. While Bob Dylan's songwriting is undeniably fantastic and the organs and harmonicas on the song sound great, I just can't get myself invested in it, especially since I can't really stand his voice, even though I've tried really hard to. This song just kind of seems like Bowie and his band winging it with no clear structure. The first half just feels like waiting for the song to start, and I don't know if it ever really does. I enjoyed the energy of A New Career in a New Town more, but I also just feel like that lacked any coherent structure, even just as an instrumental. I honestly wasn't that impressed by this, unfortunately, even though I enjoy most of New Order's work. I just thought there was something lacking in songwriting and progression, and I don't think either song will stick with me for very long. This is definitely a classic, but just not a personal favorite of mine. It's fun and catchy, but I just don't get much out of it beyond that. I do like the contrast of the aggression of London Calling as a B-side, but it's just not enough to put this higher. The vocal harmonies and especially the backup vocals on Gimme Shelter are great, but I've never been the biggest fan of the Rolling Stones personally, and no matter how many albums or songs I listen to, I just can't seem to change that. But I do really respect them and this song. Country Honk is also okay, but I definitely don't prefer it to the A-side. I think there's some really admirable aspects to this song, specifically the hook, but I'm just not that crazy about it. It's far from one of my favorite Bowie singles, and the B-side definitely reinforces that, but thankfully there are many more Bowie singles to come. Watch out, the world's behind you. I wish I had some great reasoning for my relatively low placement of this song, but it just doesn't do that much for me other than its pretty atmosphere. I also don't love the B-side either, even if it's admirable for the same reasons. I've never been the biggest Smiths fan, and this definitely isn't one of my favorite songs by them. It's a good song for sure, but I personally had a hard time figuring out what was so special about it, even if Well I Wonder is a super lovely tune and honestly the song I prefer here. It's great, don't get me wrong, but I just have a hard time connecting with it personally. I've never loved LCD Sound System, even if I can appreciate them, so take this rating with a grain of salt. I really wanted to love these tracks, and while I did enjoy them, I think there was something missing for me personally. I don't know much about Sonic Youth, so that could be it, and I'll probably go and listen to the album soon to capture the full context of these songs. I thought the noise passage on Silver Rocket and the drums on Kissability were pretty sick, but not much else stood out to me, unfortunately. I thought the song was actually really great, just a super lovely and pretty country song with some lovely instrumentation and vocals on it, and it was a good reminder to finally check out Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Since my last video, I have actually been able to listen to and enjoy Loveless, even if it still kind of makes my ears ring. It's still not my favorite thing on the planet, and I think the song can get a bit obnoxious with how the guitars are layered, which is probably just a me issue, but I definitely enjoy it more than last time. This song is great, but I don't think it goes quite as hard for me as it does for a lot of people. Really creative production for sure, but I've never personally gotten that much out of the vocals or general progression of the song, even if it is all good. I do like this song, but I think it just comes short of me loving it. The queer angle of the charming man is really cool to see, and the theatrical vocals on the track are very easy to get lost in. Gene is just okay, but this charming man is really the standout here. This is ground control to Major Tom. I do feel bad for putting the song as low as it is, but it just isn't one of Bowie's top tier songs in my opinion, even if it's incredibly iconic. From this point on, I do love these songs, and while it feels wrong to put Tachyon this low, it just isn't as special to me. I should emphasize though that the song is sick and super hard hitting, I just prefer other Death Grip songs. As a big Outkast fan, it's painful to put their only entry this low, but that's not a knock against the quality of the song since it's such a fun, inventive, and conscious hip-hop song that still stands up today. While I do enjoy Good Vibrations quite a bit, it's never been one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. I think it's fun and very forward-thinking, but there's something that's never fully clicked with me. I honestly might prefer Let's Go Away for a while, despite it just being instrumental due to how beautiful and psychedelic it is. This also feels wrong to put this low, but there are just so many great songs to come. I think if New York State of Mind or Life's a Bitch were singles, they'd be higher up, but this song is still great as it is. I think there's something pretty funny about this random old Eve Toomer song being in the top 100, but I do understand why, as this is a heartbreaking and beautiful listen. There's an indescribable sense of loneliness on the track that's beautifully conveyed, and the whole thing is lovely. While this isn't breaking my top 50, I should say that I did warm up to this song a lot. I've come to love the thick melancholy of this song, and the vocals managed to pop despite being so buried. It's absolutely a highlight on Loveless, and I do definitely see how it could click even more with other people. This song is so much fun and such a great distillation of what makes Southern hip hop so great. The production is just so fantastic, and the whole song just makes me so happy. This song is so good and just so simple and heavenly. The vocals are amazing, and the song feels like a melancholic hug or some shit like that. It's good, it's really good. I'm not personally that familiar with Ween, but I thought this song was fantastic and super sweet and groovy, and I can definitely see this growing on me even more in the future. I still have a hard time getting to the vocals, which is consistent for all of Fishman's work, but this song is pretty magical. It feels like floating over a busy city at night or something like that. I have heard the live version, which is fantastic, as is the whole live album, but this single version is also pretty great. The melancholy and melodrama of this song is pretty fantastic and infectious. Sick instrumentation all around, and that last part of the song just hits so hard for me. I never heard of this or the artist before listening to this, but I really enjoyed it. The beat is fantastic, and it feels like a classic bit of boom bap with some gorgeous synth strings that are so easy to get lost in. It's a beautiful song, and I'll definitely have to check out more of Nujabe's stuff. This song is absolutely insane, and it's so progressive within the 4 minutes it lasts. The vocals are gorgeous, especially the harmonies, and I was just kind of in awe that this song exists. Also, while Don't Go Near the Water isn't as great as Surf's Up in my opinion, the end of the track is also pretty mind-blowing. While I obviously love Death Grips, it just didn't feel right to put this any higher over so many iconic songs. The song is still fantastic, super catchy and aggressive, but I do wish that On GP or Hacker were singles so they could be even higher on this list. Absolutely euphoric stuff that just put a smile on my face. I don't have much justification for not putting it higher other than we still have a lot of songs to get through. I'll get it out of the way, there's a ton of Radiohead on this list, so don't worry about this being so low. While Karma Police is obviously fantastic, I've never loved Let Down like that. It's a great track, but Karma Police really is the one bumping this track up. For how cold this track is, and distinctly so, I think there's something really beautiful about it, like a really pretty winter day or something like that. It's not my favorite Joy Division track, but I definitely see the appeal. I also love the odd danceability to She's Lost Control, which is one of my favorite tracks from Unknown Pleasures. I don't know if there's a better word for the song other than iconic. The beat is great, and MIA's lyrics and flows are so great as they mostly were in this era of her career. The chorus is so great, and I do love that a song this catchy and fun can be as political and conscious as it is. While I definitely don't love this much as many others clearly do, I think I surprised myself at how high I placed this as I've never considered myself a huge Smiths fan as I said before. The chorus is just undeniable, and the jangly guitars and heavenly strings are pretty fantastic. It sucks for me to put this as low as it is, but I honestly have never viewed this as one of my personal favorite Björk songs. I totally get how it could be, but in terms of singles that aren't in the top 100, since there's a few more to get to, I would have preferred to see Bachelorette, Venus as a Boy, It's Oh So Quiet, Hidden Place, or even Hunter. I still love the song, it's just one that never was clicked with me as much as some of her other tracks. Penny Lane is in my ear, and in my... I think Penny Lane is a fantastic tune, but I do think that the potent melancholy of Strawberry Fields Forever is what places this where it is. The craft of the song is excellent, and it's just an interesting sound of the band and general music in the 60s. This is such an iconic and great song that I really wanted to put higher than it is. I've personally never been in love with the vocals, but the melodies do hit along with the dreamy instrumentation. Absolutely timeless track with some of the best vocal melodies I think I've ever heard. Everything about it is just so pretty and warm and comforting, and I absolutely love it. While this isn't my favorite New Order song from a songwriting standpoint, I do think the production and synth work is phenomenal here, and it makes the song feel as huge and urgent as it is. This is an absolute classic, so there's not much to add here. I think Something is easily one of the best Beatles tracks, and Come Together is super iconic too. This song is great, but it always just missed the top tier of Radiohead songs for me. I still think it's fantastic and super icy and well produced, but there's more Radiohead songs that I just feel more passionate about. If you saw the last video, you might have remembered that this song was my number 3 pick, and I don't know why, but the song just doesn't hit quite as hard for me anymore. I still think that this is an incredible and super passionate track that really captures a specific emotion to it, but it's just not, I guess, one that's as exciting to me anymore. Such a fun track that's also really passionate and emotional. I love the dance music influence on the track, and the chorus is just one of Björk's most passionate to date, even if it doesn't feature one of her most insane vocal performances to date. absolutely gorgeous and heartwarming song. The strings are incredible and the vocal melodies are genuinely perfect. The positivity of it is just infectious, and maybe After He's Gone is great too. It's been 2 years, and that line on Voodoo Child about having sex with someone while they're sleeping is still weird. But yeah, these songs are sick, some of the most effective psych rock I've heard, and the solos and builds on the tracks are phenomenal and so impressive. The choruses on Voodoo Child are so exhilarating, as are the backup vocals on Hey Joe and psychedelic guitars on All Along the Watchtower. This song is so gorgeous, and it's sad that I can't put it higher because I really love this song, and I think the entirety of Third is super underrated. The transition from folk to electronic instrumentation is otherworldly, and Beth Gibbons' vocals just soar over it all. I want to thank everyone who clowned on me in the last video for my low placement and subpar reasoning of this track, because I was stupid. The song is absolutely fantastic, and I've since listened to the whole album, and it's all great. It absolutely warrants the length, and it's just such a great experience. Ain't It Funny is genuinely incredible and a mind-blowing hip-hop song. The production is crazy, and Danny's performance is somehow so unhinged yet so tight when it comes to his flows. This song and many others off Atrocity Exhibition effectively work as the best auditory anti-drug PSA I've ever heard. This song is absolutely killer. The production has aged so well, and everything about it is so danceable and so much fun to listen to. I also think it's really interesting how the beach acts as a continuation of Blue Monday more than anything, even if it doesn't hold a candle to Blue Monday. Every time I revisit this song, I'm always surprised how much I enjoy it, since alt metal and nu metal aren't especially my thing, but there's something in this song beyond the inherent aggression that gives it a depth I can really appreciate, especially with the main riff being so sick and infectious. There are a few examples of songs that layer vocals and instrumentation as well as this one into such an emotional effect. It's really fantastic, and while the B-side does sort of pale in comparison, I'll always have a soft spot for Ladies and Gentlemen. This one really hurts not to put higher, since it's easily one of the most immersive instrumental hip-hop songs ever with amazing sample work on it. There's not really anything to complain about, it's just perfect at creating the melancholic mood it's going for. God, the drama of this song is insane. It just feels absolutely devastating throughout the whole track. Plain Song is a song I also love and works as a bit of a palate cleanser with it being a B-side, even though it opens up the whole album. Yeah, I love this song a lot. It's so melancholic and beautiful and simple for a Radiohead track, but it's just so good. Unsurprisingly, I think this song is fantastic. The hook is amazing, as is the main guitar line and post-punky drums. I just really don't have that much to say other than that. It's just really, really good. Yeah, I mean, the song is pretty fucking heavy. Bowie's description of his upcoming death is incredibly harrowing and emotional to listen to. The tense jazz rock behind him too is fantastic, and it's one of many incredible songs on Black Star. It pains me that I can't put this any higher, since it really is fantastic, but the other songs on this list are just that good. Enjoy the Silence is probably one of the best synth-pop tracks I've ever heard, with incredible and futuristic production I can't get enough of, along with a hook that hits so hard each time it comes around. Mephisto is also a really interesting and surprising progressive instrumental piece that's a super cool accompaniment to the A-side. I probably have this higher than most people would, but the song is pretty much the perfect feel-good song for me, and one that I've continuously listened to because of that. It's also one of the best plunderphonic songs ever made on top of that, making this an instant classic in my opinion. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching. Absolutely gorgeous song. Otis Redding's voice holds so much weight to it that he could say anything and make me feel whatever he wants to. The potent loneliness and introspection of this track in particular hits incredibly hard, and while Sweet Lorraine is great, I definitely prefer Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Pretty much one of the defining shoegaze songs ever, and for a good reason. The song captures a dreamy melancholy to it that's absolutely gorgeous and easy to get lost in. If he fall on that floor, don't go. Go on. Is they built for this page of my While this may seem excessive to put it as high as it is, there are a few rap songs that just fill me with as much joy and excitement as this one. The sample is incredible, and I just find the energy of it all to be so fun. I'm a pretty huge fan of Peggy, and this is easily one of his best songs. Such a beautiful and tear-jerking song. I love how dreamy and pretty the atmosphere of this song is, despite there being a potent darkness to it. I love it, and it pains me not to put it higher. I don't have much to add here since everyone knows this fucking song. It's incredible, it's lovely, all that. If someone said this was the best song ever, I probably wouldn't argue with them. While I loved Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I do think this song is kind of better than anything on that album. I love the funk instrumental and the Marvin Gaye sample. The chorus is fantastic, and Kendrick tackles so much in the lyrics that I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of it on my many listens. That third verse is one of the best verses in Kendrick's whole career. I'm a huge Beach House fan, so I'm really glad they have at least one entry here. I maybe would have preferred to see Myth if we're talking big singles, but the song is still incredible. It's so beautiful and dreamy. It's absolutely a modern dream pop classic. Yeah, the song is fantastic, like most of the stuff on this album. It just feels so grand and easy to get lost in. I absolutely love it. I think I could see the argument that Cloudbusting is the best single off Hounds of Love, and while I might not share that sentiment, I do think this track is amazing. The strings are larger than life, and the whole song literally feels like floating within the clouds. It's wonderful. Sitting at the bed with a halo at your head, was it all? The song absolutely rips me apart emotionally like so many songs on Carrie and Lowell. It's just such a soft meditation on death, and has brought me to tears many times. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Absolutely amazing track. I think it's one of the most important, fantastically made soul songs ever. Marvin Gaye's vocals just carry so much weight while being so beautiful. There's genuinely nothing here for me to criticize. Wuthering Heights is simply one of the prettiest songs I've ever heard. Kate's voice is insane and dances around the song as if it's nothing. I've no bad things to say about it, even if I'm not crazy about the B-side. As I said in my last video, I'm personally counting the full versions of both of these tracks instead of the single versions technically listed here. And while this dropped for me in ranking, I still think these songs are incredible, especially Time. The Breathe reprise at the end of that track is one of my favorite moments on any Pink Floyd song, and Us and Them is just such a huge, stunning track that I absolutely love. King Crimson is sick, and Epitaph probably is my favorite song by them. The lyrics hit hard, and the instrumentation is just on another level in terms of rock music. 21st Century Schizoid Man is also a great track and a wonderful B-side. Every time I hear Prodigy says 19 on this song, it fucking blows my mind. This is absolutely one of the best rap songs of all time. I think the beat is one of the most sinister and fantastic to come out of the 90s, and the verses are insanely hard-hitting, and it makes me just want to re-listen to the song as soon as it's over. There isn't much I can add to this track since it really is that good. It's beautiful and intergalactic, encompassing the otherworldliness suggested within the lyrics, and Suffragette City is a really solid B-side too. It's just so good. Just like Heaven is such a beautiful and passionate love song that's instantaneously hooky and easy to get lost in. It honestly feels like its title suggests, and Snow and Summer is also pretty fantastic. This is one of the newest additions to the top 100, and I'll say that I think it's one of the most stunning songs I've personally ever heard. It's pretty much just 6 minutes of raw beauty, and it's brought me to tears on many occasions. Natalie's harmonies and humming just soar over the instrumentation gorgeously, and the bird calls that wrap up the song are just a perfect end to this jaw-droppingly beautiful song. Wu-Tang is one of my favorite hip-hop acts ever, and their debut is one of my favorite hip-hop albums ever, so this placement shouldn't be too surprising. I think the beat on Cream is one of the best hip-hop beats ever, and all of the verses are absolutely fantastic. Chess Boxing is also treated as a B-side. Paranoid Android is a really sick song, and I do think it's one of Radiohead's best tracks to date. I love all the different phases throughout and just how progressive and beautiful it is while just being so thrilling. There's an indescribable melancholy to this track that's present on much of the Glow Part 2, but the fuzzed out noisy instrumentation on this track in particular is just so powerful, especially with Phil's dejected vocals and the beautiful horns on the chorus. I don't know if there's much I can say about this song, especially with the new wave of popularity it received in the past year. It's an incredible pop song that I think will remain timeless as the years go on. While it's not breaking my personal top 10, I do think this is such a sick song to be #1 on the charts. It's so experimental and weird, but also groovy and fantastic. It's truly one of the most unique songs I've ever heard, and I love it. Like a lot of Bowie tracks, this song is just so gorgeous. The string arrangements are incredible, and the vocal melody on the hook is just perfect and greatly emotional. I also think the B-side is pretty interesting and worth a listen, even if it doesn't really stand up to the core song. This song is insane, and I don't really know what else to say about it. It's so cinematic and hard-hitting, and it's a song that starts out as perfect as it ends without losing any steam along the way. It's a perfect closer to Dummy, which is one of my personal favorite albums, and I love it immensely.
But if God got us, then we gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be.
This might come as a bit of surprise, but I think RYM is severely underrated in the charts. While it's definitely more direct than other Kendrick songs, I think its simplicity is what makes it work and stick in your brain. It's such a fantastic song on so many levels. It's so catchy and excellently produced, and it's rightfully become a modern anthem for black rights and anti-police protests. I think this is a great song to be in the top 5 of the charts. I think the song is just so beautiful and idyllic and lovely. I still prefer God Only Knows a bit, as that song just makes me want to cry because it's so pretty, but both songs are excellent. If you watched my original video, you might remember this was actually my #1 song, and while I don't think it's necessarily grown off me, I do think I've come to appreciate the songs above it more than this one. It's not my favorite Radiohead song, it never has been, but I should say that the song is still fantastic. It's so beautiful and hypnotic, and that vocal breakdown still blows my mind every time I hear it. I debated putting the song as high as it is, considering it maybe isn't as important as some of these other ones, but the song's just sonic bliss from start to finish. It's pretty much the quintessential dream pop song, and its fantastic production and otherworldly chorus just are indescribably fantastic. I wish I could say more about it, but the song really just speaks for itself.
I know you hate me, don't you? You hate my people, I can tell cause it's threats when I see you.
While this is much more outwardly aggressive than many other songs here, I think this is easily one of the most conscious and important songs of the 2010s. Kendrick's verses balance bluntness and poetry so well, and his delivery is fantastically and understandably enraged. I also think the whole hypocrite narrative and the final reveal of the song is just genius, and the jazz section that closes out the song is exactly what it needed. Pagan Poetry is a song that I feel like has subtly grown on me since I first heard it a few years ago, and it's now become one of my favorite songs ever and my favorite Björk song. There's nothing I don't love about this track, from Björk's elastic vocals to the building instrumentation, and that outro is just magical. The song feels like it exists in a different world, and I just want to be there forever. Somehow this might end up being the most controversial take here, but it's also here where I have to emphasize how subjective this list really is. Simulation Swarm is one of the best songs I've ever heard, and it's also one of the most emotionally impactful songs I've ever heard. It's pretty simple on the surface, but the emotions and lyrics of the song are absolutely incredible. I just think the hook is otherworldly, and it's insane that a song like this hasn't been made before, but I'm so glad it's here. This may come as a bit of surprise if you saw my last video, but I do really think this is one of the best songs ever made. It captures something so dreamy and beautiful, yet haunting, and the way the song builds is perfect. Everything is so enveloping, and there's nothing else really like it. The strings are incredible, and Tom's voice and poetry excellently sell the track, and it's probably my favorite Radiohead single of all time, and my favorite single on the charts. And that's it. I don't know if in 2 years from now I will be as upset with this video as I am with the last video now, but I do feel a bit more satisfied with my ranking this time around. I know I'll still probably get shit from people for some of the stuff I did, especially Talking Heads fans. I'm so sorry. But at the end of the day, this is my ranking, and I'm happy with it. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. Maybe I'll be back in another 2 years.